Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. Well, it looks like I've got bad streaming. Probably the best I can do. I've had problems with my computer all day, so I'm just going to cross my fingers that it works. All right, let's see who's in here. Above and Beyond Vapor did a $1 donation. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. Flor Candia's in. Autumn Nichols, Kai Lucas Zachary, Kilcook Monty, and Andy Chuang, Ghosty333. Not too many people in. I kind of got my notification up a little late. I usually get it up by 10, but I was kind of out of it today. All right, so let's see. Flor Candia, do you believe in a future alien contact on Earth in a short time? Was the question. I really don't know. With with the timeline shifting and reality being all weird, I really don't even know what reality is. I mean, are aliens real, or is it just part of the storyline? Are they really a physical thing, or is it some kind of multi-dimensional thing where contact would not necessarily mean physical presence? I really don't know at this point. I think that weird things will continue to escalate, just judging by the patterns we've seen so far. So it could be, but I really am hesitant to say at this point. It's just weird because, so far all of the UFO stuff has all been, fuzzy photos and stuff like that. There should be better evidence. Yet, we've got photos now going back 100 years before it was easy to fake photos. So I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's see. Hardly anybody here. Yeah, I noticed that. There's not a lot. Chanty Moody's in. Um, Plume is in. Okay, so anyways, where are we? Bob Barbertson starts off the list today with he noticed some weird stuff about the blood groupings again. So we had talked, I don't know, was it a few months ago? Maybe just a month ago about Rh negative being called like RhD negative, and we had noticed that. And I had wondered if Rh negative was an ME because I don't remember it going way back. A lot of people do remember it. But for a long time, for years, it was Rh negative, and then it became all of a sudden they started calling it D negative. And I wondered why that was. Well, I think Bob Robertson has figured out what it was. So now the Rh used to be just one antigen. You're missing, either you don't have the antigen, you're Rh negative, or you do have the antigen, you're Rh positive in your blood. But now there are 61 Rh antigens, and the D antigen is the one that's the most often missing. But it is possible to be Rh negative for all the antigens now. So before it was just one antigen. Now when they started calling it D, it's 61 different Rh antigens. So apparently there's people who are Rh null, which NULL, which means they have no Rh antigens at all. And it is the most rarest blood type in the world. So now we're getting more and more blood types. Basically, these Rh null people can only get blood from other Rh null people, because if you don't have an antigen, then if you get blood that has the antigen, then I don't know, bad things will happen. Anaphylactic shock or allergy or whatever. Basically, your system will freak out with the presence of this antigen. So there's a big old long story here about people that are Rh null. All right, so this is interesting because we're getting more and more weird kinds of blood types now. So it's going to be harder and harder to get blood transfusions if this keeps up. I don't know if they're going to come up with some kind of synthetic blood that'll have none of the antigens and solve the problem. But this is more, this one talks more about other unique blood types that you can have. You can be Duffy negative, unique to people of African origin, while Rh null blood occurs more in people living in East Asia. Let's see. So people that have this Duffy negative have certain weaknesses in the blood cells. Let's see. Oh, wait, this is talking about Rh negative. Rh negative are said to suffer from Rh null syndrome, and they had certain kind of weak, weak red blood cells, so they became anemic easily. Um, there wasn't a lot else that I really saw, but so interestingly about the Duffy negatives. Now, I've never heard of Duffy negative, and I was looking, trying to get some stats on it. Um, they were saying for the Rh null, it was more rare than 1 in 1,000. Well, 1 in 1,000 is really not all that rare. So it's kind of a vague number. So supposedly Duffy negative is less rare than Rh null. This is interesting here because, first of all, I've never heard of Duffy negative. So now they're saying Duffy negative blood types no longer protected from P. vivax malaria. So the story here is being Duffy negative used to be believed to be protective of a certain strain of malaria. So hence the argument for why this Duffy negative blood type would be an advantage if you didn't get the malaria. But no sooner do we find out about Duffy negative, but that they're also claiming that malaria has found a way around the immunity and now can infect these Duffy negative people. Now, this is interesting because there was only one illness I had ever heard of that was said to be protective against malaria, and that was sickle cell anemia that Africans tended to get. And supposedly that was protective of malaria. I've never heard of this Duffy negative business. But obviously this also causes a problem for blood transfusion. If you're Duffy negative, then you cannot get blood from anybody who's Duffy positive. So, I looked and looked to try to get percentages, and they were just so vague about it. And then they would break it down into individual locations in individual countries and percentages of people who had one allele or the other, and I could not really get any percentages. But I mean, if there's even 1 in 1,000 people that are Duffy negative, I mean, that's a lot of people who can't get blood transfusions from the standard populace. So we probably should have heard more about this stuff before. Very weird. So that was Bob Bobertson got those. And this is another Bob Bobertson one, which is, I don't know if you remember way back they used to say that some birds would sneak into the nests of other birds when they weren't there, lay an egg, and then run off. And in my time when it was just one egg, so they would basically lay their egg in another nest of another bird, and that sucker bird would raise their chicks for them. So apparently now they're saying, oh, well, and I don't remember it being cuckoos at all, actually. I don't remember cuckoos doing this at all, but they're saying cuckoos do it, and that the cuckoos will even do it when the other mother is still on the nest sitting on her eggs, and they'll push his way in, lay the eggs, and then leave. And not just one egg, like I remember, but a lot of eggs. So, and then apparently the other hen doesn't throw those foreign eggs out or anything. I don't know. The whole story is kind of weird, but I'm quite positive it was only one egg, and they would only do it when no other bird was around. So kind of a smaller ME, but it bugs me anyway. That's from Bob Bobertson again. See who's all here. Data Junkie, Christina Gerald, Freeman's Cryptoverse. I don't think I know you from before. Miss Imaginary, Blackhawk 5069, and an Angel, Lord of Frybread, Bill M.E. Looks like everybody's showing up now. Okay, let me actually read what you guys wrote here. Are these just subtypes of Rh negative people? No, apparently, well, I guess, yeah, you could say that, but basically, There's no such thing as Rh negative anymore. It's Rhd negative. D is one antigen of the Rh group, so you're D negative. But you can't really be Rh negative. You can only be negative on specific antigens. And in this case, the most common one they're saying is Rhd negative. But these people that I was just discussing, the most rare blood type in the world, are Rh null, Null, which means that they have none of the 61 Rh antigens, is completely absent. So that means that you could be Rhd negative, or you could be Rh whatever negative for any of the other 60 antigens or portions of the 61 antigens. So that's 61 antigens that you could be negative for, all in the Rh group, all of which would cause you not to be able to get blood from standard populace. So if they're saying that that they're saying less than 1 in 1,000 are Rh null, then that's actually a lot of people. In my opinion. So I remember AB was rare. Yeah, AB negative was the rarest blood group, used to be. Exactly. Duffy negative, never heard of it. Yeah, and there's probably a bunch of others too. I bet you're going to get a whole bunch of weird blood groups now. I freaked my fiance out with the Easter Island statues. He was like, no, and walked off. Autumn Nichols. Yeah, well, he's going to have a hard time denying that particular piece of reality, I think. But I guess that's just how people deal with it. Somebody's been indulging in the Stargate 1 marathon. Yeah, Duffy, Duffy negative. I know. I've been keeping track of blood typing, but I've never heard of Duffy negative. I bet you never heard of Rh null either, because that was one antigen. It was the Rh antigen. That was it. It was not 61 antigens. Sickle cell anemia was the only defense against malaria. Yep, now it's Duffy negative. I wonder how many antigens are in the Duffy group, actually. Let's see. See if I even typed in the right terminology for that. There are 5 antigens in the Duffy system. 3 are high prevalence antigens. All right, so the antigens most commonly encountered in transfusion practice. Discovered in 1950. I guess I looked at this and wasn't understanding it. The Duffy antigen is located on the red balloon. It's named after the patients in which it was discovered. It makes it sound like there's just one, the Duffy antigen. But then other places make it sound like there's... So there's one antigen location, but it sounds like there's 5 or 6 options for it. All right. The overwhelming majority of blacks had the erythrocyte phenotype FYA minus B. 68% of African Americans, 88 to 100% in African blacks, 90% of West African blacks. This phenotype is exceedingly rare in Caucasians. Okay, so like basically almost all the blacks have this then. Okay, so that's a phenotype. So that should be the actual physical development of the genotype. And I was just looking for this too. Okay, so that's like a whole bunch of people. All right, so can they get blood transfusions from regular pipples? Blood transfusions. So does that mean black people can't get blood from white people 90% of the time? The Duffy blood group and transfusion reaction. Okay, so they're saying it's an occasional source of difficulty. Recognized for the past 8 years as an occasional source of difficulty. 4 cases in which antibodies to this factor were detected and with methods for preventing transfusion. 1950 it was discovered. Yeah, we know that. Okay, so it's not so apparently occasionally they'll have a bad reaction if they're anti-Duffy is where we're at currently. And some Caucasians also can be Duffy negative. So, geez, there's not much info on. A serious hemolytic reaction occurred. 5 years and 50,000 blood transfusions separate that case from 4 recent cases. So it's weakly antigenic. I guess that means it's weakly allergic making. Interesting. Okay. So you can be all right. So what they're saying here is you can develop sensitization if you're Duffy negative and you keep getting Duffy positive blood, at least in certain individuals. 2 of the 4 patients reported had only a single previous transfusion. Likelihood is not great, but the danger to the patient who has become sensitized is great. No essential difference has been suggested between transfusion reactions due to the Duffy factor and those due to Rh or ABO incompatibilities. Anyway, I think we'll have to keep an eye on this one. Very interesting, very interesting. Okay. I just found out about this like an hour before anyway, so part of the reason why I'm kind of clueless too. I only heard of RH null a few months ago. Well, you're ahead of me because I just heard about it today. Yeah, it looks like most, let's see, Rh neg people that have been rubbing my nose. In fact, I have rhesus genes happens to also have them too. I don't know. There's just a whole bunch of different antigens now, I guess. So anybody could be Duffy negative or Duffy positive, and there's probably a whole bunch more. I heard about African people with sickle cell being less likely to get sick from malaria. Yeah, that was kind of an old storyline. I mean, like 20 years old or something. We had a couple big shifts of late, quite jarring. Yeah, I think that the last week or so has been quiet for me, though. One thing I did notice, though. I think this is the right. I've got a little tiny scar now, in my eyebrow. Now, a long time ago, like I think I was like 4, I was roughhousing and I hit my head on something and I got 8 stitches right in here. But it was just the tail end of the eyebrow. Now there's a scar right at the top, and it looks kind of weirdly white there. And it looks like it's going down into the eyebrow up here. I'm not sure if that's a separate scar that I got somewhere in this timeline or if it's part of the one that I had over here and I got whacked a lot harder. I'm not sure on that one, but anyway, I'm not real happy about that because it's visible. I talked before, I had some scars in the part line here, one on each side that have both disappeared, so good riddance to those, but I don't really want to get one right here in exchange. No, thank you. There was also a bird that would build two nests on top of the nest with the false egg in it. Huh, I have not heard of that one. Freeman's Cryptoverse. I'm from Start Eva, but do not bot chat much. Oh, well, thanks for coming anyways. Not everybody has to talk, obviously. Cuckoo has always been this type of bird's always one egg, though. Yeah, now they're saying eggs. Managed to lay all their eggs in there. So now it's more than one. And they will just do it with the bird still there. They'll just push the other bird out of the way and squeeze in there. Yeah, so oh, I'm not sure how that first name is pronounced, so I'm just going to go to for Stahl Hansen. Yeah, Duffy Blood's new. RH negative positive. There's no such thing as RH negative positive anymore. It's RHD negative positive, and then there's all the other RH antigens that could also be negative or positive. That's as of what? Well, I just found out about it today, but that D thing showed maybe a month or two ago. So I'm guessing that that's when those other antigens showed. First, they just talk about the D, but we didn't know why. Here in U.S., there are many black people. Why haven't they been talking about it? Okay, yeah, so it was my bad. I assumed that if you were Duffy negative, you couldn't get Duffy positive blood, but apparently most people so far can. But if you have anaphylactic shock, then boom, you're pretty much goners. So you would think that black people would be worried about that, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll hear more about that. How many states in the U.S. today? I believe we're at 50, last I checked. Um, really, most people don't know their blood group. That's interesting. Mine's A positive, but I gave blood. They usually tell you, I think, though, when you go to the hospital, don't they? They tell you when you give blood, though, so that's how I know. If it isn't all that rare for some human blood to be poisonous to other humans, how are we all the same species? Yeah, it's just getting weird. I don't know. See, the RH thing really is weird because if you have a RH positive baby in your stomach and you're an RH negative mother, then you can go into shock from some of that baby blood impacting your system. And I didn't have that in my old timeline. I mean, that was what, maybe 5 years ago that showed up. That's really weird. The Ronin frequency is in. Welcome. Mrs. J. So, Mrs. J, you are AB negative, I guess, then? Anyone can receive your blood. If you have Rh negative blood and your baby has Rh positive, it causes issues. Yep. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Why is it that the Duffy blood is not causing the same problem as the Rh blood antigens? I mean, why does the body freak over? That's a good question. Why is the body freaking out over that the RHD antigen, but it's not freaking out over these Duffy antigens? I don't know. That's weird. I have been noticing new skin tags on my head in the last few weeks. I know two other people. You know what? I got two skin tags on my eye here, and one was really tiny, and the other one was pretty big. So I took a snippers and I snipped that little sucker off of there because it pissed me off. Then I put some stuff on it, and hopefully I'm gonna try to kill it. You know, they say skin tags are just from like skin friction, but I'm like, it came so fast. It was just like suddenly there. Maybe we're prone to skin tags in this timeline. Anyway, I'm gonna keep snipping it off if it grows back. And yeah, it hurts a little, but whatever. It's just a second. I thought O negative was the universal donor. Yeah, see, I do remember them saying O was the universal donor for a long time. But it was quite a while back, but you know, it was most of my life. And then all of a sudden, it was the universal receiver. I don't know. And I'm just kind of hitting, I would have doubted myself, but so many other people have that same memory that I am very suspicious about that being an ME of some type. Bill ME skin tags. Basically, it's just like a little piece of skin that grows like out of place. It's just like a little extra tab of skin. And supposedly it's from friction. O neg is the Wait, what is the universal donor blood? Let's just check this business. All right. Wasn't this just different the other day? Individuals with type O RHD negative blood are the official universal donors. Those with type AB RHD positive blood are the universal recipients. Gosh, I was thinking that, is this changing every 5 seconds? I thought it was AB negative that were the universal donors last I checked. And I remember O being the universal donors originally, and then it was AB. Well, what? Okay. Dang, it's like it changes every 5 seconds. I thought AB RH negative. Okay, I thought they were the universal donors last I checked. ABRH negative were universal donors last I checked. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm going nuts. You know, I'll look that up again, but I just saw that a little bit ago from friction. They're just saying like the skin gets too much friction and then it gets irritated, and then too much cell division causes like extra skin to grow. And I don't really get why it wouldn't just cause a callus, but supposedly it can cause a little tab of skin. I don't really get it myself. Especially they're real skinny, long things, and I just don't get how that. I don't know. That's the story I read like 2 days ago or something. I I had a 2-pint blood transfusion years ago, and I started liking foods that I never had before. Hopefully they were healthy ones. Both parents and siblings are all A positive and unable to get. How could I be O positive? So figure. No, you can be, because if you're an A, let me see. If I remember correctly, like thinking way back, you can have one allele for A and one for O, and then you'll be you'll be A. So your parents could both have had one allele for A and one for O, and you just happen to inherit the two O alleles, and then you'd be O. That's how I remember it being. So now, if they were, one of them was AB, then then there'd be something fishy in your heritage. But yeah, if they were both all A's, you could be an O. That would be legit. It would be the neg blood as universal. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it again, but it just seems like that one keeps changing. Skin tags are so random in random places, but recently they've been popping up almost every day for me. Yeah, I don't know. I just suddenly got those two on my eye, and I mean, they look just like skin tags, but I wondered if they were like moles or something. But they're skin colored. I don't know. It's just weird. Bible is soon all wrong. Yeah, I think it's pretty close to being all wrong by now. I mean, really, is there really even many sentences left that are original anymore? Yes, both my parents would also have to have an O gene with an A. Yeah, AO and AO can be an A or an O. 75% chance of an A. I agree with Q Cook Monty. So you were just 25% chance, which is not that unusual a chance. You could be an O. Okay, so we got that one covered. All right, horn sharks. This is the thumbnail. You probably saw it. These little suckers, they apparently are native to California off the coast. Now, I first heard of these horn sharks about 2 years ago. The reason they were interesting is they have spines in their fins. I do not remember originally any sharks having spines in their fins. So I was pretty taken aback. Back then, I thought it was a huge, big deal ME that had spines in their fins. But since then, they've gotten these weird curlies on their snout. I noticed a lot of the sharks are getting it. And then who was it that caught this one? It was KSP Crafter in the comments had commented on these spiral egg casings. So this is a egg casing from this shark. It may not be this exact shark. In fact, some people think that this is another shark munching on the egg casing of another shark. But anyway, this is a horn shark. Now, I remember these being called ghost shark, and they still are. And it was just ghost shark. At the time, the horns weren't that prominent. So apparently now they're also called horn shark. So I was confused when I heard it was horn shark, but it's also called ghost shark. So these things are like about this, like 5-6 inches long. These spiral egg casings. Now, interesting story behind these. Oh, and I just want to show the front view of the horn shark. See these weird teeth and everything. A lot of the sharks are getting this weird pig nose or something. I don't know what the heck is going on. I really ought to look in to see if I can figure out what these things are supposed to be. But, fish didn't used to have noses, but now they do. I mean, it looks more like this part looks more like a mammal than a fish for me. All right. Now this one, about 2 years ago, I ran into by chance these shark egg casings, and I looked them up here on eBay. And at that time, there were only this style here, um, with the two hooks out on each side. Basically, it was this one. I saw some that I did not mean to do that. I saw some that looked like this one, which I think are similar. But there was none of these. Because I specifically looked them up because I sell weird things, and I was checking to see what the prices were and if I could resell them, and if the supplies were good enough to make the effort. And I did not find enough supplies to make the effort, so I didn't. But all they had was the one kind. But now we've got these horn shark ones, well represented in a number of places. I'm not sure what the heck that thing is. More horn shark. And this thing, elephant fish, that, I'm like, what the heck is an elephant fish? I'll get into that one in a second. These were not there either. This egg casing wasn't there. This one wasn't there. These weren't there. There's a whole bunch of them. I don't see why in 2 years suddenly there's a cajillion of these things, different kinds, mermaid's purse, when there was just the one kind 2 years ago. What the heck is that one? Swell shark. So there's tons of horn shark ones now. Weird skates. I mean, there's a ton of them now, different kinds. You could kind of scroll on for quite some time. But there was just like 5 listings, 6 listings last time, and they were all the same one. And you'll notice here that I just typed in shark egg casing because that's all I knew of at the time. I did not type in like horn shark or anything like that. Okay, so I'm like, okay, elephant fish, that's this. So I'm like, what's an elephant fish? All right, so that's this ghost shark here, and apparently I've been watching the snout grow, and I'm sure that I had this on one of my thumbnails once, but very weird looking snout thing. So this was not called elephant shark when I first saw it, but apparently now this appendage in the front, which is supposedly a sensory organ, has now grown long enough that it's called elephant fish, but it's a kind of shark. And it now has this egg casing showing up. So just some stuff that's been developing. This thing gets more ridiculous looking with every passing month, though, I have to say. It's getting very hook-like, too. I'm wondering if it's going to be some kind of a digger organism or even get longer and be even more elephant-like. Look, the head is sort of getting a little bit elephant-like now, too. Used to be more fish-like. All right, so I'm going to get rid of all those. All right, so now this one. All right, this one, it's another spelling one, but this one was brought up by Bunzo60 on Retcon, and it was the spelling of ophthalmologist. How do you spell ophthalmologist? So, is there an L over here? There was 2 things I noticed. He's, I remember it as ophthalmologist. So, this person is complaining about this extra L, ophthalmologist. I do not remember the thal with the L in there. I remember it ophtha. But the other thing I didn't remember is this freaking H over here. OPH? THALMO. I don't remember it being OPH. I remember it OPTH. So this H thing, and it wasn't just me. A bunch of people down here is like, what's up with the H? So then I'm like, well, how do you pronounce it then? Because that's OPH should be off. Ophthalmologist? Is it ophthalmologist? So I look up the dictionary, and here has my recollection of ophthalmologist. I do not remember the L, but I do remember it. Oh, at least being an op. But most of the locations that I looked at have this one, ophthalmologist. So apparently we've all been saying it wrong forever. Ophthalmologist, OF sound, ophthalmologist. I mean, have you ever? It's interesting because we were talking about this on Recon, and people are saying that they're going into their eyeglass specialist, and they're everybody, the nurse, the reception, everybody's calling it ophthalmologist with a P sound. Nobody is calling it ophthalmologist. And this person works for an insurance company where they work with ophthalmologists all the time. They have to type it into their keyword search. They're saying that they spelled it the same way for years and years and years. And last week it was fine. And this week now, if they type it in the way they always have, it will not come up. They have to put that L in there. So they're complaining about the L, but I swear that H, I don't think so. Yeah, can't keep up with the spelling changes. I agree. Two days ago on the same shelf, I saw two different spellings of products side by side: Ty-d-bol and Ty-d-bol. You mean it's not Ty-d-bol anymore? Ty-d-bol. All right. Could they be copycats? Wait a minute now. Okay. Wow. Yes, I agree with you. It's supposed to be Tidy space BOWL. All right. Is there any? Oh, I don't see anything. Wow. That's a big ME. There's no way that it wasn't spelled normal. What's this one? Smirnoff drinks. Okay, so that's some kind of joke thing. Check it out. There's certainly a lot of people remembering it the way I remember it. Yeah, no. There's no more Ty-d-bol. Look at that. It's gone. All right, let me check out that other spelling of yours. Tie-day. That's interesting if you found one tie-day bowl. If you found one mid-switch, I've never seen anything where two versions of different timelines were there at the same time. I'm not finding any copycat ones that are tie-day. Nope. All right, well, I'm definitely going to write that one on the list. Oh, gosh. And we joke about that so often because, okay, how do you do it now? Ty-d-bol. That's ridiculous. We joke about it because one of the ways that they used to dye agate slices was they would put it with the blue Ty-d-bol and the acidic. I think it was acidic, or there's something in Ty-d-bol that would help the dye go into the stone. So whenever we see badly dyed, cheapy looking, ridiculous colored stones, we call them the Ty-d-bol stones. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is agate slices. These are agate slices, and they can be dyed with Ty-d-bol. At least the old school stuff would do it. That's not a natural color. It's a natural stone, but they're not naturally blue like that. So, all right. Anyway, yes, I totally agree. Ty-d-bol is baloney. Good find. Yes, I agree with you. Totally agree with you. My birthmark on my wrist has vanished after 50 years. Yeah, yeah, I had I think that one's gone finally. There's one that I had for about 40 something years, I would have to say. And that one has been fading out in the last year. I think it's gone now. They sneak away, just they get smaller and smaller, but after 40 something years, you'd think that it was there to stay. Old scar on my ankle keeps getting smaller. Yep, they sneak off. Spiral egg casings. What would be the purpose of that shape? So supposedly, the mother actually screws them into crevices and they stay there. And another thing was they incubate for 10 months with their yolk, and then they can live for another month. Once they hatch out, they live another month on their yolk. So it's like that's 11-month survival on one yolk. It's pretty impressive. Those are laying all over my beach. Always wonder where they were. Really? Huh. Did you know them for long? If fish breathe through their gills, why do they need nostrils? Yeah, that's why I'm going to look into what they say those are, because I don't think they're saying they're nostrils. They just happen to look just like it. Let me see if I can find that easily. Shark nostrils are located on the underside of the snout. Okay, so they are nostrils. Solely for smelling, not for breathing. They are lined with specialized cells. Huh. Shark nostrils. Okay, so I just remember them detecting the smells inside their mouth like normal. Well, I guess there's no such thing as normal. I want to say like normal sharks, but there are no normal sharks now. Shark nostrils. Let's see if they will point them out. All right. So they have nostrils, and it's probably these bump things. Yeah, I don't remember sharks having nostrils actually. I don't remember having this. Is that the nostrils or is it this thing? What are the nostrils? Shark nostrils. Okay, so we've got, I think this must be the nostril. The heck is that? That looks so weird. Yeah, I don't remember him having nostrils, to be honest. Okay, so I guess those are just nostrils. Huh. I was thinking they were going to say there's some kind of sensory organ or something, but I mean, those two words are somewhat interchangeable when you think about it. Yep. All right. Well, that's not really helping any, but yeah, I'll have to look into that more, but it looks like they are really nostrils. Everybody keep an eye on the sun casting shadows. I've seen shadows cast by the sun pointing the wrong way, occasionally instead of straight lines, and the line will be erratic. I will definitely keep an eye open for that. Um, and that is also a very creepy episode of Doctor Who. So that would be super creepy if I saw that in real life. I'm going to flip out if that Doctor Who episode comes. Hopefully, not all the way to life, because that would be really bad. I didn't know I could sell dead stuff from the beach on eBay. You know, they have rules that just kind of have general guidelines. Whether you can actually sell that legally is another question. Sometimes depending on where it's collected, the rules in your state, blah, blah, blah. So you definitely would not want to sell them out of, like if you're in the United States, do not try to sell them out of country because they won't be allowed. Import laws in the other countries probably won't let them out, and export laws in this country definitely don't let them out. But it's kind of an open question. It'll depend on if they're considered endangered and those kind of things. eBay just can't really keep track of it all. So if something is obviously illegal, like you're selling like a giraffe baby or something, they may ban it. And they don't allow the sale of ivory. I know that. Certain things are specifically banned. Wait. Dang, let's see. Somebody just mentioned something and then it jumped. But they're basically saying that the lighting, if you look at the lighting on trees and stuff, it looks like a studio. It looks fake. I totally agree with that, especially near sunset. It's weird because sunset for me, the sun used to be yellowish all the time. And now the sunset only is slightly yellowish, but the light is really yellow at sunset, and it did not used to be really yellow for me. So when I see the lighting near when the sun's going to go down, it looks fake to me. It looks like a studio. And when I see documentaries, especially when they're taking place later in the day, they look completely fake. And that's been the case for a number of years now. I haven't gotten over it. I guess at some point I'll get used to the new look, but so when you say it looks like a studio, it's because the light color is wrong. And when something's in a studio, they have artificial lighting, so the light color is wrong sometimes. So that's probably, I would guess, why you got that feeling. But yeah, if you can catch like Ty-d-bol mid-switch or something like that, snap a picture, definitely. You can always check it out on Google later. Especially with the phones now, it's so easy to take a picture and then check it out later. And then if it turns out to be nothing, then just delete the photo, It just takes a second to take photos. The only thing that phones really suck for is like, they're pretty low level at clouds and they really are terrible at sunsets. Because I don't know why, but you'll have this blazing sunset and then you'll take a picture on your phone and it's like, what are you, blind? You can't see red, you can't see pink, because hardly any of it'll show. It's like my phone takes photos of the old timeline, even though I'm seeing with my eyes the brighter timeline. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, like lazy boy. I think it's more ridiculous than lazy boy. Bowl with the BOL. You know what? I think my stray cat might be out there crying. I'll be right back. I'm going to see if my kitty is out there. We have a sniveling cat over here trying to get in. Kitty! Nope, back door. Kitty! Aha! Come in, you little baby. You have to be on the video now. The kitty! Oh, stinky kitty. Oh, kitty. Hopefully you can see the kitty. This is my stray kitty that I don't own, but end up taking care of anyway. Which is supposed to be at the other place right now, but he never listens or does what he's supposed to, so he's over here bugging me. All right. I don't know if you noticed, but his ear was trimmed because he was in the feral cat program. I think it's because he just He won't stay in one person's house. He probably stays at my house more than anybody, but even though he's a sweet kitty, he can't be like contained, so they put him in the feral cat program. So what they do is they neuter him, and then they trim one ear so that you can see that they're neutered and you don't have to recapture them. Ty-d-bol, didn't Ty-d-bol change like a year ago? I do not recall hearing tiddlywinks about Ty-d-bol until just now. Maybe in some not timelines it did. I don't know. It's a new one for me though. Actually, let's see. Let's just see if somebody else has already covered. Now you get to listen to the cat complaining because he has a big mouth. All right. He's going to climb all over my stuff until I throw him out. Because that's the way this kitty rolls. All right, let's see. Can we find Ty-d-bol? One of my favorite commercials as a child was the Ty-d-bol man and his boat. I couldn't imagine why anyone wanted to live in a toilet bowl. Well, I stumbled across the fact that it is now Ty-d-bol man. Is it me or is this wrong? 2 years ago. 2 years ago. 2 years ago. The guy didn't even get one upvote. This is the main Mandela Effect. It is kind of anti-Mandela Effect, believe it or not. Mostly skeptics on there. It was supposed to be for, discussion and logical discussion of pros and cons, but it's pretty much got taken over by the skeptics. All right, so in this current timeline, somebody mentioned it 2 years ago. It's new for me. I mean, the thing is, Ty-d-bol, it's not something I look at every 5 minutes. So, I mean, it might have been here 6 months and I wouldn't have known. But I have not heard of anybody talking about it. June 2018. Ty-d-bol. Dang, 2000. Okay, so like 1 year ago, it was in the list of top 100, looks like. All right, so 1 or 2 years ago, at least for some of you. New for me, though. Ty-d-bol. That one is totally wrong, though. Totally wrong. If anyone who wants to see a bunch of Emmys, just type in fruits you never heard of. White strawberries, ghost berries, blue bananas. Yep. Isn't white strawberries kind of new last I checked? I mean, like new for everybody. Not that it'll stay that way, but... White pine berries. I thought those just came out. Pine berry. Keeping an eye on that cat. We were trying to get some of these. The lady who sold them was always out of them. Then we tried growing them. And then every time a tiny little strawberry comes out, some animal eats it before we we have never seen a single strawberry. We tried covering it with screen and something just ripped away the screen. So, I mean, it's supposed to be white strawberries, but I have no idea because we have never seen a strawberry even get halfway grown. Japan is known for having many unique types of fruits. 50 different varieties of white strawberries are grown, each with a unique flavor. No, that was not how it was like 2 years ago. White jewel strawberries were introduced nearly 4 years ago. Huh. All right, let's see if there are white strawberries natural. All right, there's 2 natural kinds now. There are 2 strawberry species that are true white strawberries native to Europe. Okay, that has changed. That has changed. White strawberries, those were a new hybrid like a couple years ago, and there was only one freaking kind. All right. Only one kind. They were not native to Chile or Europe. That I cry foul on that one. Just looked into those multiple times. The blue bananas sound tasty. Yeah, some of those bananas they were saying they were like custard flavored and this and that, all these neat flavors, which is cool. Ty-d-bol. That's interesting that you got that other Ty-d-bol with the Tyde. It's not showing up anywhere now. So, Talking about the Fruit Loops ME. That one has flip-flopped so many times for me. I don't even want to talk about it. The Fruit is my original. I'm not even sure what we're on right now. I've lost track. This one I can't keep up with. Okay. It has been this for a few months at least. Whoop. All right. Wait. Which one is it? And this I think is the Mandela one. Or is this the Mandela one? Wait, which one is it really now? All right, so oh wait. Okay, so it's up double O's again? Okay. It's hard to keep up. All right. So we're back to double O's. I thought we had moved back to the UI for a while. This one, like I said, I can't keep up with this one anymore. UI is my original. And then it was this, and then it was back. I cry, uncle. You thought the UI was off-brand, huh? Yeah, the UI doesn't exist now. It's back to the OOs, the quadruple O's. Oh, the human tongue can smell now? Wait, who said that one? That one's funny. Wait, who said that one? None said that one. Darn it, it just jumps. But anyway, good find. Human tail, if, let's see what it is. Tongue can smell. Humans can apparently smell things. You'd be like snakes. Stick out your tongue. I don't know why that surprises me. The cells in your tongue seem to have the ability to smell. Grew human taste cells in a lab. Those cells contain several important molecules already found in olfactory cells. When they exposed the taste cells to odor molecules, the cells responded like olfactory cells do. And how old is this article? Recent. Okay, interesting. The human tongue can smell. Good find. I like that one. Human, like snakes. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't make the what for you would be G. I keep making it like a P the last like 5 days. Every time I go to write lowercase g, I write lowercase p, and then I have to correct it like 20 times in a row. I don't know what's wrong with my hand. Suddenly it doesn't know how to write G's. That should be muscle memory too. It's just weird. Didn't know there was that many varieties of this white strawberry. I think it was about 2 years ago. It was after I learned about the Mandela effect. So it couldn't have been, more than 3 years ago. Those showed up, and then I looked into purchasing them. There was only one kind. And they were newly created like 2 years before. Something about Japan, I think, was right, that they had somehow hybridized these things. There was not any native ones. They were created by man. High salty servants talking about the breadfruit. I remember the breadfruit. When I was in Guam, they had some of that stuff, and it's stinky. Gross. Tried some white strawberries that tasted like pineapple. I think that's the one we have. They're supposed to taste real good. It's just pissing me off because I can't get one single strawberry. You would think one of them would slip by. Never heard of ice apples until a few days ago. Ice apples, that's when those, wasn't that the icicles left behind after the supposed apples supposedly melted? Yeah, that was a couple months ago. No, that was ghost apples. What's ice apples? Ghost apples. All I'm seeing are these ghost apples now. Ice apples. Okay. Ice apples, one cool evening. I haven't heard of those. Interesting. Ice apples, fruits. What are the benefits of ice apple? Stomach ailments. And dogs eat ice apple. The flesh is sweet. Sounds kind of good. I like anything that says it's sweet. India, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Huh. Sounds good to me. Summer fruit that's bursting with goodness. The elephants with boobs is disturbing. Yeah. What's the point? I mean, there's a huge elephant there. You didn't need to have special tissue all dangling down. It just looks ridiculous. They call them pine berries because they remind me of pineapples. Now they're saying, oh, pine berries is a whole different kind. Don't confuse them with pine berries. Actually, we should probably look that one up. Pine berries. Pine berries. The rest of the story. Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to grow, these pine berries. Relatively new pale pink or pale orange white strawberry cultivar. Okay, so yes, it was relatively new and it was the only one. All right, now the cat is sniveling to go back out because that's what cats do. I will be right back. Kitty! Kitty has escaped. The pineberry is a hybrid of the wild South American strawberry, which grows wild. Yeah, no, there were no wild ones back then. New purple strawberries have been developed as well. Let's check that one out. The genetics was rescued by a group of Dutch farmers. They discovered it in France. They did not find and rescue the pineberry from the wilds of Chile, as some have claimed. That's a whole new story about this whole France thing. Purple ones, those sound kind of good, I guess. Up until now, there were only 3 naturally occurring strawberry colors available commercially. The traditional famous red strawberries. The white strawberries have been around for quite some time and have recently burst into the scene again with the emergence of the popular pineberry variety. Yellow strawberries have also served a smaller niche market. Okay, so we have yellow strawberries also. Apparently, purple wonderberries are not GMO. Bred by natural means by the small fruits breeding program at Cornell University. Developed in 1999. Medium-sized purple strawberries are sweet and aromatic and carry an exquisite strawberry flavor. Okay, so what was that other one? They said yellow strawberries. Doesn't sound like very good, but... yeah. Those don't, they just look unripe. Alpine Yellow Wonder, best gourmet strawberries. They just look unripe. Come on, you could load. A very tasty and unique looking, a favorite with many of our local customers. So apparently it's supposedly quite established. It doesn't look like this is going to load though. See if I can get it out of cached. There we go, a little faster. Prefer the taste of yellow alpine type to the more common reds. Right, not much info on them, but yeah, they just look unripe, but whatever. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get every color of the rainbow at this rate. Yeah, see the elephants, they had the nipples, but they didn't have dangly boobs before. I mean, you've got a whole elephant there. There was plenty of room to have the milk without having dangly boobs, and that's just how it was. And many times they had documentaries where they showed the baby nursing and there were no boobs. That cat is out there meowing again. It's cats, they went in and out and in and out and in and out. He hears me yapping in here, and that's probably part of it. Denver decriminalized shrooms. Ah, Denver or can one city decriminalize something and the state not decriminalize it? Huh, interesting. I have to say though, I was shocked by how fast marijuana went from like verboten, and they wouldn't even talk about it. I mean, you wouldn't even hear the word uttered on a radio station. Within a year or two, suddenly it was no big deal. And I was actually really shocked by that, how quickly that switched around. Tulips with teeth-looking petals, cows with woolly coats, strange insects, and list goes on. Yeah, there's a flower that now has this weird yellow center that didn't used to. A bunch of my bushes that I mean, we had these bushes for 20 years and I've never seen a flower on them, and they're exploding the last 2 years, exploding in flowers. Um, I've never, they were some plants. They're like, oh, if they're not in their native habitat, they don't bloom at all. Well, they do now. Stuff is just, and not just a few. It's just covered with them. And we had a lot of rain this year, but it's not the only year we've had a lot of rain. So I don't know. It's just like stuff that I've never seen a bloom on ever. Like 3 or 4 different plants. Plants that even we had in my childhood up north also, because basically once you find plants that are easy to grow, you just keep planting those same ones, and none of them ever had a bloom on them, and then now they're millions of blooms. Yeah, kitties in out. He's the worst. He's the worst in or outer. He has come in one door, meowed to come in, and strolled straight to another door in the house and meowed to get out. I'm like, you've been in for 2 seconds, cat. He'll drive you crazy. And he'll just meow like he's dying. Legal marijuana nationally would destroy pharmaceutical sales. That's why they've tried to hold it off. I don't know. I mean, there was just this sudden violent, I mean, not violent, but just really sudden change in it. And attitudes from my perspective. It was absolutely something that was like verboten to just like no big one. It was so quick. I was really shocked. This is even before I knew about the ME too, and I just kept thinking about it. I've never seen public sentiment change so rapidly over something that was just like bad. So I don't know. I do think it's related. Obviously, I've got no evidence, but it's fishy. Flying Gurnard. Yeah, we had flying fish in my old timeline. They were gliders. If these suckers actually flap and fly, I'm gonna freak out. Um, oh, that's not the ones we had before, though. We had flying fish, but not these ones. All right, does it actually like flap through the air? Because I've definitely seen some gliders. Dare I play this footage? Well, we'll try. You risk getting a copyright strike. All right, there it is underground. The fish are known to emit growling sounds through their swim bladder. They don't actually fly. Some sources claim they can glide above the surface. Okay, we, uh, they make growling noises. Hmm. All right, these ones we did have, these little guys. But their wings have gotten bigger. They fly a lot longer, and
they're covered
to the part where they start flying. Yeah, see, they didn't used to flap
with an extra thrust from their tails. The flying fish get airborne once more. Glide for hundreds.
That racket. I don't think their flying skills have improved significantly. But they were more of like kind of jumping out of the air before. They're more like gliding now, I would say. And their wings are bigger. Yeah, flying fish couldn't actually fly. They jumped. They're looking a little more glidey now than I recall, but they did have kind of glider wings, but not as glidey looking as they are now. So anyway, these Gurnards, they're saying that they don't have video of them actually flying. I mean, that will be one we'll just have to keep an eye on. I've noticed there's a lot of trees and bushes with different kinds of flowers on them now. Pretty, but different. Yeah, a lot of them are just like kind of upgraded, but there's a lot that I've just never seen a flower on ever. There are a group of people who can run for 400 miles nonstop. The Tarahumara tribe. Let's check that one out. Humara tribe. Tarahumara. I'm going to write them down. Humara tribe. Tarahumara tribe. Hidden tribe of super athletes born to run. Living in the... We had those people who could hold their breath for like a half hour, so this can't surprise me. Long distance running. Originally inhabitants of much of Chihuahua. Right. Is that the same as the Tarahumara? Interesting. They defy every known rule of physical conditioning and still speed along for hundreds of miles. That's interesting. Interesting. Didn't work out, stretch, or protect their feet. They chain-smoked fierce black tobacco, ate a ton of carbs and barely any meat, and chugged so much cactus moonshine that they were either drunk or hungover an estimated 1/3 of each year. Drunkenness is a matter of pride. There's no doubt they are the best runners in the world. All right, so... Interesting. They prefer to run in sandals, apparently. Reports from observers at the mountaintop stations said the Tarahumara were even smiling as they passed. Breaking the tape at time of 20:03:33 was 55-year-old Victoriano Churro, a farmer and the oldest of the three tarahumara. He was followed by Chirildo Chacarito in second and Manuel Luna in fifth. The three tarahumara were still bouncing along on their toes as they crossed the line. Their performance proved to be no fluke. Another tarahumara won at Leadville, finishing 17:30:42. And chopping 25 minutes off the course record. How did they do it? Before anyone could find out, the tarahumara vanished from the ultra-running scene in the mid-90s, retreating to their canyon-bottomed homes and taking their miraculous distance-running secrets with them. Okay, I've never heard of this. Now, I have heard that there are some tribes that are fast runners, but they didn't disappear afterwards, and they didn't like run in sandals, and they didn't like choke out, they didn't guzzle alcohol right before and stuff like that. There was nothing like that. This is a very weird story. Very weird. Then why disappear then? Because that's an interesting story. Very interesting. This is something I've been really thinking about lately. You know what kind of sucks about being a human is you've got to exercise all the time. It's really irritating. Why can't the muscles just stay in good shape without you exercising them? And then they say that all that working out is wear and tear on the joints, yet you're supposed to exercise. The whole system is just kind of a pain in the butt. Why should we become like all worthless and weak if we don't exercise for 3 weeks? You know, it's very inefficient and it's a hassle. So I was just thinking it would be cool if we didn't have to do all that. I don't know if it's because I'm lazy or what, but, you know, it'd be nice to see that kind of switch over where we stay in condition easier. I'm really hoping for that. This tarahumara thing kind of gets me excited because of that. That's from Hesham Ibada. Good find on that tarahumara thing. If you YT strange discoveries in China or something, there are all these weird things that have been discovered by random people since 2015. Yep. All this new biology, all this stuff. You just can't. Hiding in plain sight is this new word that you find on a lot of this stuff. All right, let me see. What else do I have? All right, did ophthalmologist. Ophthalmologist. I do have some more. All right, those are all ones from you. All right, this one is from Jay Emlin. I was going to do this one last week, but I forgot. Good find, Jay Emlin. Apparently there's a squash that looks just like eggs. It's called the Easter egg plant. They're not edible, at least not currently, but they look like they're freaking eggs on a plant, basically. I mean, check that out. It's a freaking egg. It looks just like an egg, but it's a plant. Very weird. So Easter egg plant is what it's called. I've never heard of it. Can you eat them? You may not want to. inedible, but since they're non-poisonous, some people eat them. So they're not very tasty, apparently. Miniature eggplant. What's this thing about the bat poop? What is it? I don't know what you guys are talking about. Bat looked at a carnivorous plant and thought, I'll poop. Bat, carnivorous plant. You guys have lost me. Bat uses pitcher plant as toilet. Oh my God. All right, I got to write that one down. You guys got a lot of good ones. I've got almost nothing this week, but you guys are making up for it. Yeah. All right. Is this just like a one-time deal or what? It feeds on bat poop. Okay, so it is not. It is not. It is not a one-time deal. So what's their reasoning for why the bats use it? Can sleep and poop inside. Bats stick inside the pitchers like a cork on a bottle. Finding a snug place to sleep. Feeds on bat poop. It's one of the nature's amazing reciprocal relationships. Huh. All right, well, that's a new one for me. All right, yes, I agree. That's a new one. You gotta wonder why the bat wants to squeeze in there, too. I mean, usually they dangle off the ceilings and stuff. You're not. What kind of animal goes, I'm gonna squeeze into this really tight place and then also poop in here? It's weird. We have Adrian's Wall in Britain, but now there's also something called Antonine Wall 2. Yeah, I saw that like it was a year and a half ago. I think it was actually Mandela Affected that had first mentioned it, but I think I had also seen it. The thing is, I don't know the UK very much, so I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know. I don't remember this wall, but I couldn't be sure because I just didn't know UK enough. But then Mandela Affected publicly announced that that was a new one, so I'm like, okay, now I know for sure because it's there's a lot going on in UK for the old ruins, so it's just not something I could have been sure of. Rat eating pitcher plant. I've covered rat eating pitcher plants before. They're gross. I gotta watch when I play video too, because it doesn't take much before I get a copyright strike. My neighbors were shooting at each other earlier tonight. Almost got hit. Jeez. Hope you called the police. Craziness, man. Hopefully we'll all get better neighborhoods here eventually. All right, so got that one. Bloop. Oh, speaking of weird fish. This show is almost all you guys, so congratulations. This one is from Julie Holcomb, commenter on the channel. Good find. I'm a little worried about playing this video, but basically they got this little clip of this really weird fish that has these little feet. it looks like a little insect feet that it walks with, if you could see those little feet. Very weird. Now, we've seen ones that have kind of modified fins, but this is the first one that has its own little stick feet. I really do want to play more of that, but I might get a copyright strike. So, walking fish has several experts stumped on its actual species identification. Might be some kind of stingfish, a common name for Minos genus from the stonefish. Huh. Anyway, weird. All right, here's another spelling one. How do you spell ginkgo? Ginkgo, the tree. Ginkgo trees, famous trees from Japan. How do you... Don't look it up now, no cheating. How do you spell ginkgo? Let's see what you guys remember. Those famous trees with the weird shaped leaves. We had these on my street when I was growing up, and I thought they were so cool. Ginkgo. I'll be a little bit surprised if anybody gets it anything like, well, if anybody gets it like the current reality, because I don't think so. There's two of them that I think it could have been in my old timeline, and I'm wondering if it shifted, but ginkgo. All right, let's not rag on the flat earth people. I've covered this before. I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a globe earther. A lot of people in the Emmy community think of it's a simulation Earth. I do think that the flat earthers come up with some interesting ideas sometimes, and they're not always easily refutable. I just don't believe that that means that the Earth is flat. I just think that I don't believe in just those two options, let's just say. But I don't go around getting upset at flat earth people. I think that they do some really good research, and sometimes I can refute some of their ideas, and sometimes I can't, and sometimes I don't know enough to know either way. All right, how many people spell ginkgo right? GoC333, nope. I thought you had it for a second, but you don't. Nobody has it. Nobody can spell ginkgo anymore. Maybe you once could spell ginkgo. Let's see. Has everybody chimed in now? All right, so how do you spell ginkgo? Now, it better not have changed since we talked about this yesterday. All right, I remember it as like Ginko, and it may have had a G on there too, but I think it was Gin, not Jin, Ginko is what I remember. There may have been an extra G, Gingko, but now it is ginkgo by Loba. Ginkgo. 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 I am positive it was not ginkgo. It was never ginkgo. I believe it was Gingko. There was no G after the K. It was not ginkgo. Ginkgo. Who caught this one? This was Alien Draconic on Retconned. Noticed that it was ginkgo. That is so wrong. Ginkgo. Anyways, ginkgo biloba. Apparently some people still call it the other way, but it was never ginkgo biloba as the scientific name. Just like Felis catus. It never was Felis catus. It was Felis domesticus. Anyways, it was never ginkgo. Apparently they're saying, some people spell it the other way, but there would be no reason for them to have the scientific name separate from the name that everybody spells it as either. So yeah, it's ginkgo now. Ginkgo. All right, and I got that one. All right, this is the last one, and probably I think it's the only one I actually noticed myself this week. Terrible, terrible. All right. I've been complaining about the gorillas changing. So the silverbacks, I complained about the silverbacks, not remembering them having any much silver at all on their backs. I've covered it before, but now they're like silver butts too. Look at this guy. He's got white all on his legs. The silverbacks are now silver buttocked guys. This guy is almost totally silver. So their legs and their whole bodies are turning very silver now. And they're getting really weirdly fluffy too. I just don't remember them looking that good. But okay, so for a while it was just like this. But now you can see their whole butt and all their legs are also silvery. And a much more fluffy look. So it looks like they're turning white basically. The males are like half white now. Look at this guy. Not just on the back, but even his skin. He's got these weird tufts, and you will see that more and more images of them walking upright. We've discussed that before. Look at him sitting here. It looks like a human in a gorilla suit. They did not used to have a structure that they look so human like that. They couldn't sit like that before. Another thing I'm really noticing is the head is turning very red, and there's this huge bump up here. I mean, his head is basically, it's going like this way and then that way, and there was no red head before. No red head. It's getting very red. So they're basically getting really white, and then they're getting this giant red head. The silver used to be only the back. Look at this guy. Just white all over. Same. This guy, same thing. That was not the case last I checked. There were no guys with silver all over their legs before. Look at this one. It looks ridiculous. It looks like he's got white pants on. And look at how he stands and stuff. Look what's up with the fingers, too. Those fingers look really weird. They look like he have bananas on his for digits. What's up with those fingers? I'm going to have to find another image of the fingers. There's something that was really weird looking. All right. All of them got their... Oh, look at that. So they suddenly have like... They don't have any fur on the fingers apparently, and they have it everywhere else. Huh. It's like they have mittens on. Interesting. See, look at this guy. His face is all turning white. He's got red over here. Look at all the white on that one. So their coloration is changing. It looks like the males are going to get like a very large portion of white on them. Some of these older males are like almost completely white now. Look at that. Look at the front arms are almost reverse bent too. They're just, look at that, look at that. So now they've got this giant tufts out here. Just different. It really looks like a man with a big pot belly in a suit. Anyways, this thing is going crazy too. Anyways, I could just go on forever about these things. These guys just keep changing. They were not nearly this just total muscular in my old timeline way back. They just were not this butt-kicking muscular. They were always, a dangerous wild animal, but they're insanely muscular now too. was not my old case. The fur is getting really interesting looking. It really looks like a science fiction character for me now, more than it does a real gorilla. They used to be a lot more like the females for me. A lot more, just a little bigger. Look at this guy's white pants. So a lot of them are getting these white pants now. Red heads. Craziness. It's all on his shoulders. Anyway, yes, I could go on forever and ever and ever on these things. And ever. Why would there be different spellings and pronunciations? I really am not sure. You want to say, oh, well, some different decisions were made back in time. But then things should be even more different. It should have, I don't know. The butterfly doesn't really work because if a change in the past should come up with way more changes than just a couple spelling changes. And then the butterfly effect does not account for like the moon being in a different orbit but yet looking the same and geology changing. It doesn't really cover those. So since when have silverback gorillas have elongated skulls? Yeah, exactly. It looks like one of those look at this guy here. He's got this elongated skull and this giant... It's very weird. The shape of the skull now is really strange. This photo especially. Very weird. I shave hair on my head with clippers. Noticed it changed shape. Yeah, there's... men have that weird bump in the back now, too. I guess you would notice a lot more if you were a dude, because if you had short hair. Look like the lost tribe of Rothschild. They walk on hind legs a lot more. Yep. And so do other animals. We've been seeing a lot of cats sitting up, weirdly. A lot of different animals, you're just seeing them walk upright now. Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I was thinking that. They really are just really so much more muscular now. What does Eva think of Games of Thrones this season? I do not watch TV hardly at all, and I have not watched it. I actually saw one episode a long time ago, and there was so much violence and gratuitous sex that I just thought, I don't want to watch this, so it's kind of gross. And maybe if I watched the whole thing, I would have been sucked into it. But it just seems so full of immorality and death and destruction and sadness and grossness and rudeness that I didn't want to watch it. So I haven't. I just don't like those kind of shows anymore. I used to be a lot more into them, but I just don't like that stuff anymore. I just don't like a lot of negativity. I mean, sometimes if there's strife and there's challenge and stuff, but then I want to see a happy ending now. I just don't like those sad ones anymore. I remember male gorillas having a slightly elongated skull, but not to the extreme it is now. You're like from a timeline like halfway between where we are now and where I came from. So a lot of the MEs, like, I'll think it's completely changed and you'll think it's partially changed, I've noticed. Back part of my head is different shape. Yeah, there's that occipital bun, B-U-N, that they're saying that is on the back of the skull now. And I can feel it back there, but since I don't keep my hair that short, I can't really see it. Occipital bun. I think I've covered this before. Maybe I didn't. Doop. So everybody has it, but some people have it more. Now, when it first came out, like only a few people had it. It was kind of a rare thing. But now, everybody has it, and some people just have it more. So it's this weird bump here. So see how it kind of, there's this bump here. This one shows it. But everybody has some of it. It's just some are really extreme is all. But I don't remember when it first came out. It only a few people had it, and it was a lot more subtle than it is now. The other thing is the cheekbone's so high now. My face has changed a lot. I think the other thing I've really noticed is some faces are just too freaking skinny. See if I can find one. Some of the girls are the worst, but I just don't think we had people. There's a few of them that I see that are like inhuman because it's like they don't have hardly any flesh. She's kind of like that. There's just not enough flesh over here. The face is just too narrow. I started seeing these about 6 or 7 years ago. And the first one I saw was like, that's just, I thought that person had like a disease or something because their face was just so narrow. This one is kind of like that. They're just, if she smiles, her smile will be almost to the whole edge of her face. And I did not ever see any humans like that 10 years ago. And it was, I see it first with these models, TV people. And at first I thought, well, that one's really unusual looking, and that's why that person's a model. But then I've seen more and more of them like that. I'm actually not finding a really good example, but there are times when I go on here. This one's actually a pretty good example. There's not enough face over here. It's just missing, it's too narrow. Seeing more of this unusual coloration. When I first saw her, she did not have the matching arms, and she did not have the eyebrows. So she's supposed to have a problem where, like Michael Jackson, supposedly he claimed he had, where the skin would not all retain pigment. I just think it's really fishy that it just happens to be symmetrical. When I first saw her, it was just the face. But it did not go up on the nose. She didn't have it on the eyebrows. I guess you could say that, her skin pigment loss is advanced, but I just find it really suspicious that it just happens to be symmetrical. Okay, here's another one. Face is just it's too narrow. Anyway, we just didn't have that. And I think that's why some of my teeth now are overlapping because, you get to your late 40s, your teeth should be fairly set. They've been the same for about 30 years, and suddenly they're too squished in. There's no room. I think my face is narrow. Cheekbones are definitely higher. Back here, the jaw sticks out more. You've seen the shape has changed a lot on the bone here. Yeah, some of these, I don't think we had them that narrow in my old timeline. Now, it could be that it's all just Photoshop, but I mean, like this girl, it's just not natural. I mean, are every one of these Photoshopped? Now, I did see a couple of them, I saw them moving around, and this was a while back, so I don't think that it was fake. I mean, I guess they could have CGI'd it, but it was a while ago, so it wasn't just Photoshop. It was on video, and you can't really trust video either, but just too thin. Face too thin. There's one. Too thin. A lot of the models have this super thin face now. Too thin. It's just not natural. At least not for my old timeline. Anyway, I'm done complaining. Frost nip? I don't know what that is. Let's type it in, see what happens. Zip, zip. So that's like frostbite, but not as bad. All right. I've never heard of frost nip, though, but I've heard of frostbite. Frost nip, huh? Frost nip. I mean, I've had it where my toes get really cold and they feel numb. I mean, is that what they're calling frost nip? Pliable. There's no permanent tissue damage. Get pale or turn red and feel extremely cold or numb. All right, so that's like when your toe gets numb, I guess. Huh. I've never heard of frost nip, though. Yeah. Symptoms. The affected area may sting, prickle, or burn and have a deep cold feeling. Progress into tingling or numbness. Red, white, or yellowish, but the skin will be pliable and soft. Many people describe an intense burning sensation as the skin begins to warm up and thaw out. Yeah, I've had that before. The tingling. All right. Yeah, I've never heard of frost nip, though, as a term. Don't remember people being as attractive but shallow like they are now. Yeah, I don't know. You know, when I look at my immediate friends, they haven't really changed much. One of them, I would say, actually is more balanced than she used to be. One of them's the same. I think, yeah, he's about the same, yeah. One of them almost died a couple times. He's changed a little bit. He's more taciturn now. He's gotten a little crabby. He's not hugely different, but I mean, you could say that almost dying will do that to you. I don't know. A lot of younger people under 20 have elongated eyes, almost alien-like. My eyes have changed a lot. My eye shape, they used to bug out more Caucasian style. Now they sink way back in. I used to think my eyes were kind of bugged out. I didn't really like it. It wasn't horrible, but I looked a little bug-eyed. And now it's much the reverse. They're way back in there. That's one of the things that really flips me out. All the makeup and everything is all different now because of, I had stopped wearing makeup for a long time, and then I went to do it again, and I couldn't lay it on there like the same way because my whole eye was different. I mean, you can't even see above the eye mostly because it's all just sunk back in now. You can't hardly see any of my eyelid at all. It's creepy. There are a lot of MTF transgender lookalike celebrities, though. Yeah, but there's no way the even the guys, some of them have super. In fact, it was the first model I saw was a boy, he was like 13 and he had this super skinny face. But of all things, you would not expect men to be able to have that skinny face. I mean, they should have an even wider face than the women. I mean, yeah, I could say that that's the style, but I never saw ever anybody with that thin a face before. That one male, I thought he was some kind of a freak of nature, but now I see a lot of them. Maybe that's the look now. I don't know. I do think my face is a little thinner than it used to be, though. But I have noticed also, I mean, there is that trend with the giant caterpillar eyebrows. But I have noticed in general, I'm seeing even natural eyebrows a lot bigger than I ever did before, especially on women. I mean, I've actually seen people like some of the eyebrows, you can almost just like you have to comb them. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like out of a fantasy series. It's so extreme. I do think my eyebrows are a little bit bigger than they were probably. I think they probably are a little bit bigger. But eyebrows are insane. And then you've got that trend where they make the giant eyebrows too, so that's adding to it. But even the natural ones look really, I mean, you can almost see them. They're like fur now. I mean, people are even trim them, not just pluck them, but trim the suckers. I'm going to try to magically reverse aging. I don't really think I've aged much in the last 10 years. The average lifespan has grown probably about 10 years for me in the last 10 years. So although I've gotten 10 years older, the average lifespan has advanced 10 years. So keep this up. I'll never make the average lifespan because it'll keep getting longer. Nobody lived 120 in my old timeline. 100 was like a miracle. And people that were 100, they would put them on TV. And these were people who were, in a wheelchair, could barely talk. They were obviously in their last days. But now you've got 100-year-old people who are up there dancing the jig and as sharp as tacks, looking really healthy. So that's changed a lot. So anyways, that might be the way the age thing happens. It's like you don't exactly get younger, but you don't really get older. The other thing is, a couple years ago, and then for like 5 years before that whole stretch, I had some really kind of creaky knees. And I was thinking, these are going to really suck as I get older because I'm not that old. Knock on wood, the last year my knees have been fine. There's nothing wrong with them at all. No more problems going up the stairs. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was kind of like that kind of on the edge where you're thinking, another 5-10 years I'm going to have trouble. Gone. My knees are good. Somebody asked me the other days, how's your knees if you can do jumping jacks? I'm like, they're fine. Nothing. So that's really weird because it's not like I didn't exercise back then either. I can't really explain why it has gotten magically gone. But the knees are a very different shape now, so maybe a lot of those problems were the crossover. I don't know. You think a lot of younger people have fetal alcohol syndrome? Yeah, I had just heard about that the first time about 2 years ago. But the thing is, alcoholism was very popular in the 70s. In my era, there is absolutely no reason why only people now would have that. In case people don't know. And I'd never heard of fetal alcohol syndrome until about 4 years ago. So basically they're saying that if the mother drinks a lot, there'll be a specific look that the child may have. And the look tends to not have the philtrum, which is these ridges under the nose. The face is flat, eyes big, kind of a underdeveloped. The face doesn't come out like it normally does. It's sort of underdeveloped. Makes the eyes look real big. And they look a little Asian-y with the eyes too, which is interesting. Because my eyes have gotten Asian-y, but I don't have all the other symptoms. I have a giant nose, so I think that there's pretty safe that I did not come from fetal alcohol syndrome with that giant snoozle. But thin lips. They'll have thin lips. So I'm wondering is this the new excuse for this new weird look we're getting? With the it must be fetal alcohol syndrome. But yeah, just real narrow. The thing is, if all of these kids had it, then where were all the kids when I was a kid? There should have been a giant boatload of kids that had it from when I was a kid too. It's just not realistic to. Here's another thing we're seeing a ton of. This thing where you have a stripe of color in your hair naturally. These aren't dyed. They naturally just don't grow color in one strip of hair. I'm seeing a ton of that. There's this one girl that did one of those remodel shows where you remodel one of your rooms in your house, and it was weird because I saw her for years, and then one time I saw her and she had this big white streak, and I'm like, what the heck? What style is that? And was it remodel show? I'm pretty sure it was a remodel show. And then I looked it up, and she said, well, it depends on how the hair is parted. Sometimes you can see it and sometimes you can't. But the thing is, I'd seen her for years and not seen hide nor hair of this big white streak. And then suddenly I started seeing it half the time. So it was weird. So anyway, I'm seeing more and more people with this white streak now. Just one white streak. So anyway, it's kind of subtle, but basically these kids with this fetal alcohol syndrome, a lot of them are really cute. Just really cute faces. All right, so I don't know if it's for sure. Let's see. How about this one? I don't know. I'm not sure about that one, but that might be an excuse for the skinny face. I don't know. But like I said, they should have had them when I was a kid, too. Now they're saying animals fake orgasms. I think I read about that to make the males go away or something. I've heard one where the females fake death. If they don't want the male to mate with them, they pretend they're dead. I don't think that'll work for humans, but I mean, yes, animals are definitely way more intelligent than they used to be. I've mostly seen those narrow faces on women, though. Yeah, there's been a few boys, though. There have definitely been. And like I said, the first one was a boy. Women in person don't look like they have super narrow faces, just the models. Yeah, that's the thing. But some of these images were supposedly caught by the news, so they shouldn't be photoshopped and stuff like. So that's one of the things where I really wonder about reality. Like, first you see the images on. It's like the images are the foreshadow of where we're going or something. Because first you see those images all the time on media and you get used to it. And then once you get used to it, then maybe you'll start seeing it in real life. I'm not sure. But yeah, I have not seen anybody with that skinny a face in real life. That's a very good point. And I've never seen anybody that looks like they have fetal alcohol syndrome in real life either. So I'm just wondering, I mean, is that where we're going to head with the narrow face? I think the bone structure is getting laid out to make it possible. Do I think a lot of the young people have fetal alcohol syndrome? No, I think that's kind of an excuse. I think that's just another kind of a. So say somebody, for instance, say somebody that doesn't know about the Mandela effect notices these narrow faces. Now they have an excuse. Oh, it's fetal alcohol syndrome. Will they take the next step and go, wait, how come there was none of these when I was young, even though alcohol was still there? Probably not. It's just, I suspect it's another ME confuser. That is my personal opinion. I suspect that I have a lot of suspicions about large chunks of reality not really being what we think it is. So I probably go more extreme on that than a lot of people. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I've gotten really suspicious. And I've also known people whose parents were alcoholics and their faces look totally normal. So lots of heavy drinking women now. I don't know. I don't think alcoholism. Let's see. Alcoholism. Alcoholism getting worse. I'm trying to think of how to term that. Alcoholism versus current. Somehow it's just eluding me. Statistics. Historical statistics. How about that? Of course, the problem's going to be spelled that wrong. Statistics. Alcohol consumption. Are they going to have any historical? All right, let's see. All right, per capita alcohol consumption in high income countries. Okay, so this is per capita and how much is consumed. It looks to me like France has come down. Italy's come down. Where's the United States? One of these red lines is United States and one's Germany. I think this one might be United States here. I think it's this one. All right, so it's come up a tad from 1890 to, all right, it's actually come down a bit since I was a kid in the 70s. So I don't think that really explains it. It looks like the alcohol per capita intake has come down a tad since the 70s for me. So there shouldn't, I mean, I guess it could be that more people just drink. Everybody drinks, but only two or three a week, and more people do it, and then there's less alcoholics. But that, I think, is unlikely. I think this is probably a reasonable indicator of alcoholism as well, and I don't see any indications here that alcoholism has spiked. I guess you could argue that men's alcoholism has gone down and women's has gone up, maybe, but I think that drinking has long been a thing that women also did. It wasn't like a special man's thing. So many new diagnoses, like the one where people freak out over people chewing. Yeah, there's one where like sounds bug people so much that they practically flip out. Yeah, that one I just heard of the last 6 months or so. You know, it's weird because I just heard about it, and then like a month later, somebody I knew turned out to have it. But, you know, I've known that guy for years, and there was no sign of this problem, and now suddenly he has it. I'm really suspicious. And then he's associated with my other friend who suddenly got this weird finger rolling tick that she never had before, but she has it in this timeline. And she claims she's always had it, of course, and her whole history is changed. So I'm pretty sure that she's not lying or anything. I think it's just timelines. So the public was warned about health and cognitive effects of drinking, but not told about the physical deformities of mongoloid facial features. Yeah, I just don't. I'm really suspicious that those existed. There was just mental retardation or, mental weakness, basically. So I'm just wondering, is it another excuse for us to get used to seeing a certain look on the face? Finger rolling is a symptom of Parkinson's disease. Well, she's done it all her life, so I don't, and her brain seems no worse than it was 20 years ago. So who knows? But yeah, I don't know. All right, anyway, well, we're getting down the home stretch here, I think. Anyways, I think it's getting late. It's 2:20 in the morning. So I think we're probably getting at the time for me to head on out of here. So thanks everybody for coming. Basically, most of the show is you guys this time. So I thank you for all that. You actually found about half of them on the show. Almost all the other half were comments and retconned and other people. So I want to thank you all and thank you for coming. And this is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.